So why Both Sides Now? Why was that the song we landed on this week? Well, during Spirit Breath this week, one of the participants, and there's usually 20 of us every morning on Spirit Breath, which you're all invited to do, but one of the participants that morning unmuted at the end when everybody shares, and she was crying still, and she said that she had just watched Joni Mitchell sing Both Sides Now at the Newport Folk Festival online. And after a brief discussion of how I told her that it was actually Judy Collins that wrote it and I was wrong, my whole life I thought Judy Collins wrote Both Sides Now. Anybody else think that? Oh my God, I'm the only person on the planet. I told Kevin that. He was like, no, you didn't tell them you thought that. Now I'm telling you all. Anyway, once that was done, I got off the call and immediately watched it and was just devolved into a puddle of tears. Watching this iconic woman who I don't know how old she is, but her voice is not what it was. She's not going to sing the way Joni Mitchell used to sing, but she sang with an authority and with an understanding. She wrote Both Sides Now when she was in her 30s. She's now, I think, in her 80s. Makes sense now. I've seen it. Every person in this room, I would say, most of you anyway, have lived very long lives. If you're past 50, you've lived a pretty good life, pretty long life. And the idea of this song now, Both Sides Now, seeing life from both perspectives, from the innocence of youth, from the beautiful anticipation of a life to a recollection of a life, and how you move back and forth between those two. She really blew me away. And when she sang, so many things I would have done, but clouds got in my way. How many of us can point to things and say, I could have done that in that situation? Or, I should have done that in this situation. I was just thinking the other day about a part that I didn't get at the last minute. And I was thinking about it, and I was sitting there thinking, well, first I was thinking of what might I have done to have changed the outcome of that. And then my mind clicked in right away and said, why are you thinking that? That is what happened. Move on, Blanche. And so I did. I moved on. But how often do we get caught up in the relative facts and make our lives about those relative facts? From up and down, and still somehow it's clouds illusions I recall. I really don't know clouds at all. I really don't know love at all. I really don't know life at all. And in Joni Mitchell's version, she sings it twice. She sings, I really don't know life. I really don't know life at all. She does it twice to make sure we get it. The illusion, clouds illusions. It's clouds illusions I recall. It's all that stuff back there that's not real anymore that I keep recalling that pulls me back and doesn't allow me to be here in this moment. That's what that song's about. I've seen clouds from both sides now. I've seen love from both sides now. And it's quite a journey to see it from both sides. When you're younger, you don't think anyone is going to leave you, anyone is going to die. Even though in my young adulthood at 19, I lost my mother. But I did expect that because she was sick for so long. So there was an anticipation of that happening. When my daughter left, I was completely ill-equipped and unprepared. No, I was unprepared, but I was equipped with this philosophy to keep me standing. But I have seen life from both sides now, and I have seen love from both sides now. I still don't know what clouds are. But when you really look at this song and listen to this song, you get the metaphoric heaviness, the weightiness of this, the importance of these lyrics. And do you know, that's the first time I have ever sang that song. I didn't know the lyrics, and it's just not a song I ever sang in my life. And then I learned them this week, and I've just been walking around like crying all week. So the title of my talk today is From Reactionary to Visionary. Gilmore told me that he thought the boy in the front reminded him of me. And actually, if I were to bring in a picture of me as a child, I actually looked just like that. And my son, I showed Will, and he went, "Is that me?" I said, "I know, right?" I think it's all of us. So from reactionary to visionary, both sides now. My question to you this morning is, what's it going to be? Where do you want to live your life from? Because I fear that most of us live our lives in a reactionary state. We go from reaction to reaction. This happens, I feel this way. And this colors my day up to this point until this happens. Then I feel this way. And then that colors my day up until this point. And then I get to watch Netflix and dissolve for about an hour or two, depending on which show I'm watching. And then I feel that way. But it's all in reaction to what is going on out here. And God knows we live in a world right now that if you are bothering to watch the news, whatever station you watch, you will go from reaction to reaction to reaction. There's a chain reaction going on. Can you take this down a little bit, Barry? It's a little echoey. There is a chain reaction going on that is creating this energy in the world where the world actually thinks it doesn't get along. That's not the truth. That's not the real truth, because we are one people on one planet, period. We have put all of the separations in place. We have put the divisiveness into place. We have put the political parties into place and then somehow believe we are that party. Well, I'm not any party. I am a divine human being. I don't know why I just said divine. I thought I was Bette Midler for a minute. I am a divine human being, right? That's who each person needs to be, and stop reacting to everything else from a false belief that I am something else. That's both sides now. To see this world, this universe from both sides. So what's it going to be? Are we going to live our lives reacting to everything and thereby creating a personality that is a reactive personality? Or are we going to be visionaries? Are we going to work from the inside out? Are we going to start remembering who we are in every situation? Are we going to start remembering who we are and creating who we are from that truth? That means I love everyone in the world. That means I am not afraid of anything. That means I know my place in society. Will I still walk in marches for gay rights, for marriage rights, for gays and lesbians and transgenders? Yes, I will. Will I still walk for women's rights? Yes, I will. Because Ernest Holmes says, show me a man who is for something and against nothing. I can be for love. I can be for peace. I can be for freedom and still love everyone. And not particularize it to being, well, you're this, you believe that, so that's not good for me. That's a world that unfortunately we tend to be living in, but only because we still believe that all of this is real. When the only thing that's real is what you felt a few moments ago sitting here in meditation. And if you got really clear and you heard those words, rolling river God, wash me, get rid of my edginess. Anybody have any edginess here? If you don't remember, some of you can point out to each other. So washing all of that clear, clean, smooth. If we're willing to do that, then I don't react. I don't have those reactions. And I can say it, I still react. There are moments that things get me and I still react. But Confucius, I think, said it best. Confucius said, and that is him, life is really simple, but we insist on making it complicated. So yeah, I still react, but when I react now, my next question is, what was that? Really, Blanche, my middle name, I have to ask myself, what caused me to react that way just now? No matter how affronting it may have seemed, no matter what somebody comes at me with, it's my reaction that matters, not what you have said. What causes my reaction? We make it so complicated, and it's really simple. My students, I don't even remember which class it was, which as they watch this, they'll be like, really? You don't remember we bought you this? But no, I don't. But some class I had bought me a chair. It's a director's chair, and it says, back to me on it. Because I say that. I used to say that all the time, so I realized it was a catchphrase. Back to me. As soon as people would turn away, I'd go, back to me. A little egotistical, but it worked. It's a good teaching style. So I have this chair, and the question that for me, it really is back to me. That's as simple as it is. No matter what happens in this world you're living in, it's going to come back to you. Why are you reacting that way? It's not them. It's never them. Isn't that annoying? I love that. That was the fastest answer you all gave. Isn't it annoying that people are not responsible for your bad times? Yes. It is so much easier to go, no, it's your fault. But it's not. It never is. And when you do see life from both sides, the relative and the absolute, which are the both sides of Ernest Holmes, when you really are willing to see life from both sides, your relatives are not a lot of fun. Anybody find that out yet in their life? You know those relatives that you left back in Oklahoma? I'm not from Oklahoma. Back in Philadelphia. They're maybe not as much fun as they seemed to be. And I'm not really making fun of your relatives, just my own back in Philadelphia. So the relatives and the absolute. But if I come over here, all of a sudden, the relatives, they're all expressions of God. Now I can actually see it all from this place of understanding. So Confucius really is right. It really is that simple. And it's time for us to step away from the relatives as much as possible. So Joni Mitchell talks about clouds, love, and life. And I'd like to use clouds as a metaphor for all the relatives you put in place. All those things, all the things in your life that you still look back to blame whatever life is going on for you right now. Whatever that is, whatever person, place, or thing that you still can call accountable for something happening to you. Do you know who was like on the top of my list forever? Jerome Robbins. Does anybody know who that is? Anybody not know who that is? Really? Wow. Jerome Robbins is one of the greatest Broadway director, choreographer, ballet choreographers. He did West Side Story, Gypsy. Anyway, he directed West Side Story. And you know, it's so funny. Because we had such a tumultuous relationship. I mean, I'd say love-hate, but I don't have a lot of proof of the love part of that. And it was just torture for the two of us to be in the room at the same time. And yet, this is the man who chose me to be only the third riff he'd ever chosen to play that role. And in this huge revival on Broadway that had got so much attention, he gave me that part. That was a thing I never, ever actually focused on much. Part of me would just be like, why did you hire me? Just to beat me up? Just to make my life miserable? His answer was probably yes. But there was and then he died. And when he died, I was already a minister, and I had this lightness, not because he died, but I had this lightness of, oh my God, I never got to thank him for giving me that part. Shouldn't that have been the most important part of that journey? The rest of it was just the journey that two oils came together and all of a sudden on the first day of rehearsal realized this is going to be tough. And it was. So this whole idea of allowing life to be about the situations in your life means you are not living your life. You're living that. You're not living the life of a visionary. George Bernard Shaw said, life isn't about finding yourself. Life is about creating yourself. How many people here are still trying to find themselves? Right? Still looking for purpose. Still looking for, what is mine to do? That's a great tool in visioning, to get quiet and go, what is mine to do here? It's not because you're trying to figure it out. It's because there is something for you to do. Listen for it. So when George Bernard Shaw says life isn't about finding yourself, life is about creating yourself, he's moved from reactionary to visionary. You are here to create you, Bruce. You are here to create whoever Bruce is. And Bruce should not just be the amalgamation of all the reactions you've had in life. And yet sometimes that's who we turn into. I am everything that has happened to me in my life. And yet, what I really am is the creativity of the universe, the infinite expanse of energy. I am every idea that's ever wanted to be known, ready to just move through me, and my ability to create whatever I want out of my life. So again, what's it going to be? Reactionary or visionary? Are you willing to stop reacting? Or at least, when you do react, ask yourself, why am I reacting this way? Because you may get some answers that are really going to surprise you. So, one of my first teachers, actually my first New Thought teacher, was Eric Butterworth. Do you all know who Eric Butterworth is? Right, Eric Butterworth, the great unity. You're a step ahead of me at Gilmore. Wait for me to ask. That's okay. So this is what he said. I'm sure you've already read it. Don't go through life, grow through life. And I remember Eric Butterworth saying this, because if you ever went to hear Eric at Unity, at Avery Fisher Hall in New York, it used to be called Our Lady of Musical Comedy, because it was all Broadway people. And there'd be like 1,500 people packing Avery Fisher every Sunday morning. And many of us would go on our way to our matinees. So we'd get up, go to Avery Fisher, sit there, listen to Eric, and then walk down Broadway to our theaters and do our shows. And I remember when he said, I remember this exact sentence because it was like, don't go through life, grow through life. I had to look it up to make sure I remembered the right thing, and this is his quote. So I think many of us are going through life. We're just going through it. We're reacting, and we go from reaction to reaction to reaction to reaction, and these reactions create beliefs along the way, and then the beliefs become core beliefs, and then those core beliefs create the way we think and talk, and now we are nothing more than the forward momentum of a reaction to something. That's going through life. And this group grabs you and takes you here, and this group grabs you and takes you here, and you're just going through life on this journey. But what Eric would say is there's something inside of you that is ready to grow you. There's something inside of you that is ready to just burst forward and bring something new into your experience. And that's the difference from just reacting to being a visionary. And this next quote, take a moment to really read this. This is Thoreau. I went to the woods because I wished to live deliberately, to front only the essential facts of life, and see if I could not learn what it had to teach, and not, when I came to die, discover that I had not lived. Now, we all know that Thoreau went out and lived in the forest, out in the woods. And while I have no desire to go camping, glamping, yes, right? There's some really good glamping places to go to. I like my showers and real bathrooms. I get this, and I love being in nature. I like a Hyatt nearby, but I do love nature. So I want you to look at the beginning of this. I went to the woods because I wished to live deliberately to front only the essential facts of life. Do you know how many facts you have going on in your mind right now? Do you know how many facts we are just pummeled with from people, by the way? People. That was high. People. I felt like Jerry Lewis. People. From people. That's where we're getting all of these facts. It's people making crap up. And then we buy it. And then we digest it. And then we spew it out to someone else. That's the stuff he's talking about. I wanted to find the essential facts. If a fact that you are hearing is not surrounded, grounded in, made with, turned into, and out of love, it's a fact you don't need to know. Because it's just a fact. It's not the truth. Especially if it's a fact that's negative and destructive. You know, when I say love only, that's not just a pretty little slogan that looks good on my chest when I wear that t-shirt. Although it looks really good. Love only is a way to live your life. And if you're going to love only, you can't keep taking all these hateful facts about things and spewing them back out into the world. That's called a reactionary life. And I hope by now you're getting it. Reactionary lives are what he's talking about at the end. I discovered I didn't live. I don't think any of us are going to be on our deathbed thinking, I wish I had watched more CNN. I don't think that's going to happen. If anything, I'd like to get to my deathbed saying, whew, I am wiped out. I have spent it all. I have lived it all. God knows I've done it all. And I'm good with it. That's where I want to be. Anybody else want to join me in that spot? Yes. Yes. That's where we all want to be when this is all over. But until it's over, which is a lot more time left for every one of us, I don't care if you're 90, how old are you, Don? 92? 91. I don't care if you're 91 or 11. Anybody 11 in here? No. David. Yeah. It doesn't matter. There's a lot more to do. I was speaking to a minister yesterday, a minister that I highly respect and love dearly. And she said to me, you know, James, I just don't know what I want to do with the 30 years I have left. And I was like, 30? Why do you only have 30 years left? She was like, well, I'm 70. I said, oh, you are so limiting yourself. I said, we all, it's probably 40 and maybe 50. You don't know what's going to happen. I said, but here's the real truth, Rita. No, I'll tell you, it's Reverend Rita. I said, Rita, let's just go with, I don't know what I want to do with today, and then leave it open. Because that's where we need to be. Spontaneous, visionaries. And when I say visionary, please know that I do not mean go out and write your 5-year plan. That's not a visionary. And for all of you that do that, I respect you. For me, it doesn't work because I don't want something out here dictating where I'm going. I'd like to know that every day I wake up and step into life anew. What is mine to do today? And then let the universe tell me. Let that thing inside of me that knows, know me. I have seen life from both sides now. I've seen it all from both sides now. And yet, there's so much more for me to see. And I would like to see the rest of it, to be perfectly honest, as a visionary, not a reactionary. Because, last slide, it takes half your life before you discover that life is a do-it-yourself project. Make sense? It is. So much of our lives we spend thinking we just needed to get to home plate, die, and go to heaven. And now we know. Here's heaven. It's heaven right now. Or it's hell. Or it's somewhere in the middle. That's our job. And that's why I gravitated to religious science. That's why I gravitate to New Thought. That's why I gravitate to quantum physics. Because I want the vision. I want to know, what's this next thing? What is next? What more is there out there? What science is teaching us now is mind-boggling. And I want more of it, and more of it, and more of it, because it reminds me who I am, who I really am. Not just my reactionary self, my visionary self. So that's what we're here to do. To grow and expand at any age, at any time, no matter what. Life is a do-it-yourself project, and this poor gentleman here didn't have the tools. But you have the tools. You already know who you are. You know that you are the divine expression of life. You are the expansive energy of the universe. You are unlimited in scope. You can tap dance until the cows come home and enjoy it. Life is nothing more than deciding to enjoy it. And when you enjoy it, get everything else out of the way, get the relatives out of the way. When you decide to live from love only, no matter what, you are now a visionary, and you, every single one of you, along with me and Dale and Dr. Laura, all of us, we will lead this planet in a direction that will bring joy and harmony and peace and love only. Because the reactionary days are over. It is time for us to be the visionaries and take this to the world. Namaste. Bruce.